Hi everyone, I'm going to do an overview of CoSketch. In order to access CoSketch, you're going to head to CoSketch.com. It's free of charge and there's no registration. It's an interactive whiteboard for multiple users, and the whole intention is to share ideas as images. So let's head to CoSketch now. Type in CoSketch. And this is the main screen you'll come to. You're going to want to head down to Create a Sketch. And this is the screen that will pop up. You actually want to show the chat immediately so you're able to grab that access code, which is why there isn't a registration. You can send this code to your students and they'll be able to head on to the same whiteboard that you are on. The second step that I would do is actually have your students change their name. Where it says Mrs. Evans here, it'll actually be a random string of numbers. Since I had logged on previously, my name is in, but you're just going to change the nickname and I'll be Mrs. E. So this is just so I can see who's chatting me, so I know who's using the whiteboard at any given time. Here are the tools you are going to use. They're very simple. You have a drawing, a line, an arrow, a circle, rectangle, etc. One of the features one of the items that I noticed about this is that it's very bare bones minimalistic. As a first grade teacher, I really appreciate that because it makes it user friendly for my first graders. There's also a hotkeys tab if you prefer to use your keyboard versus coming over and clicking on a certain item. It has that feature as well. For my first graders, I would just have them click on the actual item that they want to use. Other than just the tools, you can add stamps and backgrounds. Stamps would be a small image, whereas a background would take up the whole screen. They have a library on CoSketch, however, it's very limited. One of the items that I did find rather beneficial would be a grid. Like I said, the stamp would just be a small version, whereas a background takes up that whole screen. You also have the ability to upload your own image. One of the images that I have saved already is a diagram, and having the students have the ability to label interactively would be very beneficial. You can see once I add the stamp, because this would be at the stamp since it doesn't take up the whole screen, you can enlarge it or make it smaller. So I can make it smaller or make it larger. And then I could have my students grab the text tool and start labeling the parts of the plant. After you have finished using your whiteboard, if you want to save it for reflections later on, you can do so. So you come up here to Save Sketch, and you have the opportunity to copy a URL and embed it into another program, or you could even save it on to your computer. The last item I wanted to show you, and we'll head back to the editing mode, is a map feature. You can use Google Maps on the interactive whiteboard. You do not have the ability to export it, so you can't save the map. However, I do think it could be a beneficial tool to have the whole to use in the classroom. Let's head back to see the different elements that we could use it in. So it is synchronous in the fact that it's a live whiteboard and a live chat. It's asynchronous in the fact that you could save the whiteboard and then embed it in a website or look at it later on for reflection. For community cohesion, you share ideas and opinions in one visual workspace. Interactive intensity will vary depending on the purpose of the activity. Your knowledge and experience could be shown through brainstorming opportunities. Instructor involvement may vary depending on the grade level. However, I think the whiteboard being established by the teacher helps ensure that students are using the tool in an appropriate manner. For each of the collaboration outcomes, I connected it with a specific example from my own teaching. So for shared resources, I could use it as a mapping scavenger hunt. Currently in first grade, we have a community unit, a community and mapping unit, I should say, and I have created a scavenger hunt where students have to turn down certain streets in order to find different community buildings like a library, the firehouse. And so I think this could be a great interactive way to do that same project, but on a more advanced level and looking at maps in a more meaningful way. Brainstorming, we do a lot of KWL charts in first grade. One of the lists we just recently created was verbs for our How to Be a Plant books. And I had the students break up in different groups. They each created a verb list. Then we compiled all our lists together. Whereas if I would have given each of the groups an iPad, we could have been on the interactive CoSketch whiteboard and we could have had our lists gathered all at one time. As part of the reflection, having that embedded feature, you can save a whiteboard shot or screen and have students go back and answer questions or use it in their own writing. So that would be a great way to implement the embedded feature. Outreach and authentic learning experience with the data collection and survey. I was talking to my coworker and said how we could have groups of students go out with the iPads collecting data, and we could have all of that information automatically on the same board as opposed to having them go out, collect the data, when they come back, putting it all together. It would just automatically be there. The last element of problem solving, I think it really does a great job of incorporating group work in both math and science aspects. I believe that they could do group math problems, group word problems on the whiteboard, and then in science, collecting data, gathering that information, and projecting it as a group as well. Thanks for listening.